What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Johnny. Back in here with one more reaction video, ladies and gentlemen. And today we got another one from the one and only Mr. Thomas Sowell. Now his wisdom, man, is unmatched, and the goal is to spread it as far as I can. So if this is your first time to the channel, welcome. Get yourself on in here now. As I've said, the goal is to reach 1 million subscribers and start 1 million thought-provoking conversations. But if we can hit that 100 million mark, man, I'm a firm believer we kill the narratives in the world. We just spirits encased in human flesh trying to figure out this thing called life. Not nearly as divided as the mainstream media will want you to think. So if you like what you hear in this video, please share the message far and wide.
When my research assistant and her husband took my wife and me to dinner at a Chinese restaurant, I was impressed when I heard her for the first time speak Chinese as she ordered food. My assistant was born and raised in China, so I should have been impressed that she spoke English. But I took that for granted because she always spoke English to me. We all have a tendency to take for granted what we are used to and to regard it as somehow natural or automatic, and to be unduly impressed by what is unusual. Too many Americans...
That's extremely true. As I get older, I look around and see how many people in America take life for granted. I lived in a homeless shelter from 3rd grade to 5th grade until my mom got her Section 8. And then once she got her Section 8, I mean, most of the times we didn't have lights on, or we didn't have gas, or we didn't have water. We never had all three at once. If we did, it was like a miracle. I actually graduated high school with no lights, no water, and no gas in the home. So when I see people complaining about America and being oppressed, it really blows my mind, because I think as humans, we have to be more grateful for the situations that we're in. If you step on dog poop, be grateful that you got shoes, you know?
Take the United States for granted and are too easily impressed by what people in other countries say and do. That is especially true of the intelligentsia, and dangerously true of those Supreme Court justices who cite foreign laws when making decisions about American law. There is nothing automatic about the way of life achieved in this country. It is very unusual among the nations of the world today, and rarer than four-leaf clovers in the long view of history. It didn't just happen. People made it happen, and they and those who came after them paid a price in blood and treasure to create and preserve this nation that we now take for granted. More important, this country's survival is not automatic. What we do will determine that. Too many Americans today are not only unconcerned about what it will take to preserve this country, but are busy dismantling the things that make it America. Our national motto, E pluribus unum, from many, one, has been turned upside down as educators, activists, and politicians strive to fragment the American population into separate racial, social, linguistic, and ideological blocks. Some are gung-ho for generic change, without the slightest concern that the change might be for the worse, even in a world where most nations that are different are also worse off. Most are worse off economically, and many are much worse off in terms of despotism, corruption, and bloodshed. History is full of nations and even whole civilizations that have fallen from the heights to destitution and disintegration. The Roman Empire is a classic example, but the great Chinese dynasties, the Ottoman Empire, and many others have met the same fate.
If you haven't read Principles by Ray Dalio, that is a great book to check out to see how empires rise and fall, and how America's slowly falling right now, and how China is on the up.
These were not just political changes. They were historic catastrophes from which whole peoples did not recover for centuries. It has been estimated that it was 1,000 years before Europeans again achieved as high a standard of living as they had in Roman times. The Dark Ages were called dark for a reason. Today, whole classes of people get their jollies and puff themselves up by denigrating and denouncing American society. Such people are a major influence in our media, in our educational system, and among all sorts of vocal activists. Nothing illustrates their power to distort.
And does the people in America understand that they can leave? Like, no one is forced to be here. To say, no, I'm going to stay here because I was born here, but I'm going to fight to change the laws. I challenge everyone to go look at what Frederick Douglass said when Abraham Lincoln was plotting on moving all the slaves back to Liberia. Frederick said, no, my people bled here, we died here, and we going to make the best of it. Frederick Douglass was never saying, I'm going to change the system. He was saying, we're going to overcome the system. Booker T. Washington said, we're going to overcome this. Carter G. Woodson, man, the roadmap has been laid out for us. You should read the autobiography of Malcolm X. It's a great book.
Reality, like the way they seize upon slavery to denounce American society. Slavery was cancerous, but does anybody regard cancer in the United States as an evil peculiar to American society? It is a worldwide affliction, and so was slavery. Both the enslavers and the enslaved have included people on every inhabited continent, people of every race, color, and creed. More Europeans were enslaved and taken to North Africa by Barbary coast pirates alone than there were African slaves taken to the United States and to the colonies from which it was formed. Yet throughout our educational system, our media, and in politics, slavery is incessantly presented as if it were something peculiar to black and white Americans. What was peculiar about the United States was that it was the first country in which slavery was under attack from the moment the country was created. What was peculiar about Western civilization was that it was the first civilization to destroy slavery, not only within its own countries, but in other countries around the world as well. Reality has been stood on its head so that a relative handful of people can feel puffed up or gain notoriety and power.
And with these talk of gun laws, we shouldn't have guns, we shouldn't have guns. Man, look, if I'm not mistaken, the original gun laws were in the South right after the Civil War, so the ex-slaves wouldn't arm themselves. I've never heard any, I'll say, leader say that we shouldn't have guns. Ida B. Wells was pro-gun. Madam C.J. Walker. Of course, Malcolm X was pro-gun. We all know that. Huey P. Newton, Marcus Garvey. I mean, the list goes on and on. This concept that we should remove guns and only give them to the government, the same government that enslaved you, like this is so comical. You know and I know that if somebody kicking your front door right now, you're not trying to fist fight them. You're going to pop them and call the police. Hey, come get their body. But 3 books that I really think that whoever watches this video should pick up and read. You can read them if you want to. The first one is Black Slave Owners, Free Black Slave Masters in South Carolina from 1790 to 1860. The second one is Hammer and Hoe, Alabama Communists during the Great Depression. Now, a lot of people don't know that between 1929 and 1940s, there was a ton of communist movements in the South just recruiting black people. We've never had a chance to enjoy the benefits of capitalism because everyone tells us that we can't participate in it. It's not for us because we're black. And I don't subscribe to that concept. You can start from anywhere and become a millionaire. If it's available for them, it's available for you too. If Puff Daddy can do it, if Nipsey Hussle can do it, if Lizzo can do it, there's no reason that you can't do it as well. And the last book I want to put out there is A Student's Guide to Socialism, How It Would Trash Your Lives. Because the young generation is pure socialist. I worked at a private school for the last 6 years. And kids are great, man, but they're just being overly indoctrinated by these teachers who come out of college and they just feel like they're going to change the world. But they have no real life experience. So the black slave owners of 1790, Hammer and Hoe, and A Student's Guide to Socialism. I'm going to link all of these books in the description. You can read them if you want to, but understand, man, this knowledge is available for everybody. And as I like to say in a lot of my videos, everyone thinks, but no one thinks. Because human consciousness is rising. And we all know that our thoughts create our reality. Albert Einstein said it, Napoleon Hill, Bob Proctor. So what's stopping you from becoming the greatest version of yourself? I know you really don't believe it's because of your skin color. I know you don't believe that. It's not possible. You could do anything. You can accomplish anything. You are great. You have genius inside of you. But the world isn't telling us that we're genius. Every child is born a genius until that environment slowly strips it. I know what it's like to watch my mom and daddy fight, and I know what it's like to watch the police come into my house. I know what it's like to open the refrigerator and ain't see no food in that thing. I know what it's like to turn on the lights and see 5,000-6,000 roaches scatter. But that don't stop you. Divorce yourself from your past and embrace a beautiful future. You can have whatever you want in this world. It's abundant and it's yours. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Till next time.